having the sea, living close to the sea and being able to go for long walks along the beach at Borsterhus and then look across to the island between Sweden and Denmark called Maine is a bit special with the light behind. When you go to places like that, it kind of brings out some kind of primitive feeling. The sun shining on the water is something that wakes you up your senses. So it's a real gift to be able to walk there on a daily basis. I think when you paint things, you have to feel excited about your painting. It has to be, you have to feel when you're on your way to the studio in the morning and you want to do something, you have to feel that you're about to produce something really special and it's going to knock people out and it's going to knock you out. You're really excited about doing it. It's a question of channeling that energy into doing something and then hoping that it works out. And of course, in that you have to be comfortable in lots of different roles. As a painter, I think I usually say, well, you're a painter, but you're also a viewer of painting. In this particular case, your own painting. The viewer's very good at looking at things and is quite intellectual and makes all kinds of decisions about what should and shouldn't be done. The painter is the person who starts working and then loses himself and just does things intuitively, and has a very happy knack of being able to switch the viewer's sound off. That soundtrack goes and the painter just takes over. And then when you're working on a piece of work, another persona comes into being, and comes into play, and that's the painting itself, which literally instructs you in what the next move should be. You look at the work, your viewer makes a certain decision, your painter then sits and has a go at it, and the painting itself is giving off signals, telling you what it is you should do next. So it's not a question of imposing your will on the painting, it's a question of letting this process take over. If I could just take a photograph or use a computer or something that would just make the whole process a lot easier, then that would be wonderful. But unfortunately it doesn't work like that. It's really trying to give yourself as much possibility as you can to get into the feel of the thing that you're painting, the mood or the feel of it. And the working process that I've kind of developed over the years is that I will work often quite thematically with different things. So paintings, subjects I return to, sometimes after a short period of time, sometimes after a long period of time. Those previous images are with you in your working process. My sketches are often they're notes. I don't make drawings. I don't make finished drawings or composed drawings to help me compose pictures. And I don't take photographs to make pictures. They're all little snippets of things, which will give me information. And that information is then, you trust in yourself, that information is going to seep down, and then when you do it, hopefully it's going to come out in the painting. And really it's about hanging on to a feeling or a mood. As far as the still lives are concerned, I have a large number of objects which I've collected over the years, which appear sometimes, I'm sure, people have seen in my work and maybe return years later and are in another painting. I spend time setting up still lives physically, working with that, moving things, looking at things. Light's obviously a major factor in that, and I think you find your inspiration in the process. People always say, "Oh, how do you find your inspiration?" But you need to get the process started in order to become inspired. Really as simple as that. Yeah, tempera is a tricky medium to work with. You could say that I'm kind of married to egg tempera. We've kind of reached an agreement of how we treat each other. It's more forgiving to me these days than it used to be 20, 25 maybe actually 30 years ago when I first started working with it. So it's a fantastic material to work with. It does have its limitations, which are to do with the fast drying of the paint and the inability to easily correct things or to change things as you go along during the painting. So what makes it fantastic, the payback with egg tempera, is the wonderful luminosity and actually the feel of the paint layer. It's this lovely matte, beautiful quality to the surface. It's very seductive as a material to work. It's very linear. You can use flowing brush strokes as well as creating wonderful areas of almost jewel-like areas of texture. I had to find a way of living with it without buckling under to the problems with it, the fast drying and the inability to repair mistakes, etc. And really that entailed the realisation that the only way to work with it was to do everything in one shot, to do it in one hit. Actually not to touch the brush strokes that you make. You make a brush stroke, you leave it, you don't tamper with it, and then you carry on. And if that's your approach to painting, instead of being very tied down by limited material, you're actually quite free, because as long as you accept what you do and you don't try to change it and you realise that you have to make these compromises and you allow the material, which is very living by nature due to the way it's influenced by light, etc., then I think you reach a nice healthy compromise and you find a freedom. That's certainly how it's worked for me, which is why I carry on working with tempera. The title has to fit the painting. It can be to do with the subject matter. I would never call a painting still life #1, or because I don't think my paintings of still lives are actually still lives anyway. They are to do with other things. They're about other concepts that might be to do with a feeling or a mood or creating a force of some kind, putting together various objects that together say something that they don't say individually. And that is where the title comes from. It's reminding you of something. And that reminder is part of the force that's driving you to paint it. It's that excitement that I was talking about earlier. But it's a strong statement of something, and is significant. It's not insignificant. For me, really, the painting's finished when it leaves my studio. And as long as I'm physically able to get to the painting, there's a possibility I may do something to it. It might not be very radical, but I will still work on it. I think if a painting takes too long to make, in terms of day after day after day after day, week after week, then I think it can lose its freshness, it can lose its quality. So it has to be a compromise between those two things. I don't think you can ever have any regrets about selling a painting. It's part of the process of being a professional. You can't go there, you can't think in those terms. The sale of a painting allows you to paint another painting, and that's why you're working. So it's always a good thing. And it's not about me. It's not about my ego, my feelings, what I want. It's about it's about my work. So my work being able to be done by me. So therefore selling my feelings about selling paintings are actually not that interesting. It's about me being able to carry on and reinvent the work. But what I can say about it is I often see exhibitions or openings, people who bought my pictures in the past, and I always remember them. I think it's because it's quite a personal experience. Buying a painting is about being impassioned, falling in love with something. It's not a logical thing. You feel passionate about it. And so when you meet those people, that's an experience that you remember. I think too often we neglect the things that really impassion us in life, and art, that's where I think has a major role to play in everyday people's lives. That something that you can feel really worked up about, that really gets to you. And you can't, money can't buy that. That has to be, you feel that, and when you feel it, it's a wonderful thing to hang on to.